Once upon a time, a man found an ancient bottle, and when he opened it up, out came a Genie! Now look, I think we all know how this story goes, right? The Genie says something like, "I'm gonna grant you 3 wishes," and then wacky hijinks or terrors ensue. Well, not so fast, campfire friends, because that is just one version of one Jinn story, also known as Genies in the West. Jinn are a diverse race of invisible beings, forged of fire and air, that can appear in whatever shape they please. And while many prefer to keep their distance from humans, their existence has always been entwined with ours. Jinn might serve humanity in a family home or the court of a king. They may fall in love with us and have our children, or they could even possess us and twist our minds towards sinister ends. All of that is to say, Jinn definitely have a lot more going on than just granting wishes. So when the man in our tale we're telling today happened upon a Genie, the creature's opening words could have been anything at all. But unfortunately for him, those words were,
"You're going to die."
Thanks so much to Factor for showing us that great tasting, fast, and fresh meals are no myth. Belief in Jinn goes back farther than we know. Though most famous, perhaps as a figure in Islamic mythology, the Quran only acknowledges the existence of this smoky species while knocking them down a peg from deity status to human-adjacent shapeshifters. But one of the best-known tales of Jinn comes from that classic of Arabian literature, 1001 Nights. It's a story of a humble fisherman in the ancient Middle East who was blessed with a wife, 2 daughters, 1 son, and 0 fish. He was poor in both wealth and ability, never making anything more than a meager living, but also too stubborn to quit. One day at the shore, the fisherman cast his net 3 times, but his efforts yielded only broken glass, a dirty jug, and a dead donkey. Of course, another fisherman might have switched spots after that, but not our guy. He was gonna see this thing through. He cast his net once more. This time, though, he hauled up a copper jar, sealed with a lead cap, stamped with an ancient symbol. Okay, not a fish, but still good news. Such a jar might fetch, I don't know, like 10 dinars at the bazaar. He gave it a little shake. Pretty heavy. Actually, there's definitely something inside here. Maybe something valuable? So he pried open the jar and tipped it upside down, but nothing was coming out. What gives? Whoa! Suddenly, a burst of smoke exploded from the jar. The fisherman reeled back. Out of that smoke came more smoke, a serpentine stream of it, soaring from the jar's mouth to the sky until it coalesced in the shape of a man, standing naked with his feet on the ground and his head in the heavens. A Genie. The fisherman was terrified. This was the strangest thing he'd ever caught. It might fetch 12 dinars at the bazaar. But as he was miscalculating his catch's value, the Genie looked down, noticed the puny fisherman, and explicably cried out in fear.
"Solomon, slay me not! Never again will I speak against you in words, nor sin against you in deed."
Wait, Solomon? Now, even a provincial fisherman knew that Solomon, legendary king of Israel, had been dead for many centuries. And though still quaking before the all-powerful, all-naked Jinn, he mustered the words to explain this. Hearing this news, the Jinn laughed and clapped his giant hands, sending shockwaves that felled trees.
"Solomon is dead!"
he roared, in a voice so loud it pulverized small birds flying by.
"Glorious news! Please, go ahead and choose the manner of your death."
My death? Said the fisherman. You'd kill me even though I freed you from the jar? Sensing this required some further explanation, the Jinn told the fisherman his story. Centuries ago, during the rule of Solomon, this Genie served the notorious Jinn king Sakhra. But when Sakhra and his followers were subdued by Solomon, this particular Genie did not submit. So he was shoved in a jar, locked up with Solomon's powerful seal, and tossed into the sea.
"Whoever releases me,"
the Genie swore in his solitude,
"I shall make a very wealthy man."
But for 100 years, nobody found him. He started getting desperate, changing his tune to be, whoever released him now, he would make a very, very wealthy man. Huh? But another 100 years passed, and still nothing. Aching for freedom, he upped the deal again, swearing to grant his rescuer 3 wishes. But nobody found him. And now he was mad, because in his mind, he'd offered a lot for rescue. So he changed his offer to a darker gift.
"Whoever releases me now,"
he thought in a sulk,
"will die."
Wait, and that's me? Said the fisherman.
"Oh, yes,"
the Jinn replied. But that's not fair. Oh, this was not the first time the Jinny's seen a mere mortal failing to comprehend Jinn logic. But you know what? It was no use explaining anymore, they never get it. So he pushed on, advising the fisherman to not worry about it and just hurry up and pick his death already. Because really, what hope did this fisherman have? He was a lowly human worm slinger, up against an omnipotent immortal Genie who had stood toe-to-toe with Solomon. To this creature, the fisherman was nothing. A bug, beneath contempt. And that was the fisherman's secret weapon. Underestimation. I guess I still don't understand, he said slowly. I mean, how did you ever fit in that jar?
How don't you understand it? I mean, look at me.
I am mighty, Jinny, but you are so big and this jar is so very small.
Come on, you were certainly looking when I left the jar, right?
No, it didn't seem notable at the time.
Oh, show me a mortal who is not a fool. Okay, look now then how it is done. But look well. I'm only going to do this once more, okay? You are blessed, you know, to bear witness to the amazing, shrinking powers of a great Genie. I mean, everyone should really see this before they die.
And with that, the Genie whipped his enormous smoky essence back inside the jar. The fisherman then quickly slammed on the cap, and just before he was going to throw the dude back into the water, he heard a muffled cry from within.
No, not the sea!
The fisherman paused, and then came the excuses! The apology for the whole choose your death thing. First, the Genie said it was a joke. Then, that the fisherman had a really good opportunity here to model generosity, huh? And finally, going back to the drawing board, the Genie swore to make the fisherman a very wealthy man. Very wealthy, huh? Oh, the fisherman liked the sound of that. Way more than dying. So once again, he freed the Genie from his prison. True to his word, the Genie then led the fisherman to a secluded lake and had him cast his net there. Oh, what a catch! 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, 4 fish in all! Then the Genie advised him to take the fish to the king, who would pay him a handsome price. Plus, the fisherman could return to that lake every day and collect 4 more fish each time. And with his deal fulfilled, the Genie set off for parts and adventures unknown. Maybe he wanted to start a family, or heck, maybe he was still hankering to get a murder out of his system. Who's to say? As for the fisherman, he did sell those fish to the king for a staggering 400 dinars. Not to mention he became the king's dedicated fish guy and close friend, marrying his daughters to the king and a prince, and setting his son up as the treasurer. Before he knew it, he was the richest man in the world. Not too shabby for a humble fisherman, right? But of all of these gifts the Genie had given him, he would always be most thankful for the first, the gift of life. The gift of not being squished beneath a giant Genie foot like a bug. Because money is nice, sure, but you gotta be alive to spend it. And if anyone understood that love for life, it was the Genie. Now after thousands of years, flying through the clouds, free once again to live. Now, of course, you can imagine after that long, the Genie probably had a heck of a to-do list, meaning he didn't want to waste a lot of time worrying about stuff like, I don't know, what he was gonna have for dinner. So using his incredible cosmic powers, he came up with the tastiest possible solution, Factor. So with summer winding down and conference season spinning up, my personal time is actually more at a premium than really any other time of the year, which leaves me very little of it to do things like eat, which I know I need to do. And sure, I could always order takeout a bunch, but my bank account lives in constant fear of that crushing financial weight, and frozen meals have too many preservatives in them and just taste a little like I'm dying inside. Well, this is exactly where Factor comes in to resurrect my stomach. They're a phenomenal ready-to-eat meal delivery service that takes the guesswork out of my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with every meal ready in 2 minutes with no prep, no mess, and no cleanup. It's just really good food ready whenever I have time to eat it. And Factor also has a big ol' rotating menu of 35 delicious chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meal options that you can choose from each week to really achieve any nutritional goals you may have. Everything from keto, veggie, protein plus, vegan options. They got Calorie Smart, which are meals around 550 calories or less, and just a bunch more. And actually a really cool thing is you can even mix and match between all of those to ensure that everyone in your household gets the exact type of food that they love fast. For instance, a few days ago, I was feeling just drained and needed something hearty for dinner, right? So, Q Factor's creamy tomato pork tenderloin to my rescue. Seriously, I couldn't believe how good it was for the effort to taste ratio. And the best part was, then I got to use the time I saved to do something fun that I wanted to do, which in this case was to build more battle maps for my Curse of Strahd campaign, because I smell a TPK coming. So if you want to eat better while also being better with your time, all you gotta do is head to factor75.com or click the link below, and then use code EXTRACREDITS50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Yeah, that's like a bunch of free food. Then not only will you be getting fast, tasty meals that fit your lifestyle, but you'll also be helping to support our shows and the people who make them. Oh, and do not sleep on their smoothies, by the way. They are a perfect midday pick-me-up, and at this point, I can't live without them. Again, that's 50% off your first box at factor75.com and use the code EXTRACREDITS50. I'm not sure why I went full Princess Vespa from Spaceballs there, but that's where we are.
Say, did you ever hear the one about Skylar Holmes, Kuya Koi, Joseph Blame, Dominic Valenciana, Casey Mustia, Arclight Games, Angela Valenciana, and Ahmad Ziad Turk being fantastic legendary patrons? Because I sure did.